Hey Playas, how you doing? Welcome back to Playas Guide. I have noticed a bunch of YouTubers with videos coming out over the past month since the start of 2022 saying that they are quitting collecting, they're done with retro game collecting, seeing a bunch of thumbnails that say I quit, and things like that. So I want to address this issue because I understand that a lot of you are frustrated with prices and the availability of a lot of retro games right now and different sketchy things going on in the collecting market. Those of you familiar with this channel, you know that I love the NES. And for those of you not familiar with the channel, please consider tapping that subscribe button and joining us here on Playas Guide. There's a new video every week. The point about me liking the NES is that when I started collecting it was around 2000, 2001, so over 20 years ago. The average price of an NES game at that time, I want to say, was like $3 or $4, and not too long after, maybe, a couple years down the road, was $5. Now, this goes back farther than price charting can show us if we look right here. But the average price of an NES game today on price charting says that it's nearly $45. So I could understand why you might be frustrated collecting for a console like the NES when the average price is $45. But this isn't just the NES that we're talking about. Video games right across the board, if you've been watching my State of Collecting series and paying attention to the markets, it's common knowledge. Everybody here, if you're watching this video, you probably know this. Prices for video games have been going up steadily across most consoles. There are a few exceptions, and I'm going to talk about that in a later video, what you should be looking for and what you can collect on a budget today in 2022 for a reasonable price. But the point is, with the frustration, if you're thinking about giving up, and it's not just because you need money and you see that prices are at a all-time high and you can make a profit off of your collection, please reconsider. Okay, if you don't need to sell for other reasons, please reconsider. There is a lot of things you can do right now. Now, when I looked at the prices, let's say back in 2000, and the average I would have said was around $3 or $4. And then you look at even there on price charting, what the average would have been in 2008, and let's even go up to 2010, is probably around somewhere between $8 and $10, and then eventually, let's say 2012, easily 10 years after I started collecting, was about $14. So $14 to $44 is a pretty big gap, but so is $4 to $14. And many of you watching may have only started collecting in the past 10, even 12 years or so, which is quite some time, and I'm sure you've amassed an impressive collection during that time. But you're looking at the prices and it gets discouraging. Well, back in 2010, 2011, I really started to see NES games ramping up in price. And that's when I decided, okay, I need to get it done, snag those few titles that I don't have, grab them off eBay or video game forums, which were very popular at the time. I know social medias and things like Reddit have kind of killed those off. The point being is that I saw things really starting to pick up in the market, and I knew what I needed to get done if I was, going to reach that goal. Otherwise, I was afraid things might become unattainable. So I've been in your shoes and where you're at. Got a few suggestions of things you should probably consider. These are things that I've done, worked for me, and, I'm still passionate about retro gaming, video game collecting, and, will help keep things fresh. So first of all, you need to be able to adapt. So that means maybe your collection might look a little different. You might change direction. But if you are focused and set on, certain specific games and you're just frustrated with the prices, you need to budget for those games. But you also need to look at the price and ask yourself, is it worth it? So if you're happy paying a certain price for a game, that's the price you should pay for it, and don't pay any more. If you have to pay more for it, isn't the price that you're comfortable paying, then is it worth it? Probably not. You're not happy with that price, so you shouldn't buy it. And that's the way you should look at collecting. And look, like I also talked about briefly, was budget there. I mentioned the word budget. So you want to set a budget. Now, my budget has always been $20 a week. And sometimes lately I don't even spend that because, $10 a week will get you diddly shit for the most part. But it will still get you things. So right now, I'm collecting for the Wii U, and I'm hoping to complete that collection this year. I will be posting a video about my collecting journey. I'm not going to do a collection vlog or something like that. There's a million of those on YouTube you can go find. I'm going to try to make, just like a mini video about my collecting experience. But I'm setting $20 a week. And some games, there are many games I could get for $20 or less. Or if I can't, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that $20, put it aside each week until I could get that $50 or $60 game. So that'll take 3 weeks. The point is, I will get there because I have a budget and I have a goal in mind. So you need to set these budgets for yourself and stick with them, because you do not want to be spending outside of your means. And it's not going to make you happy. You're not going to feel happy about collecting, spending a bunch of money you probably should be putting towards other things instead of video games. These are things that other YouTubers are probably not going to touch upon or talk about, but we do on this channel because we're serious about collecting and we're serious about retro gaming, and that's why I created this channel. And from what I've seen, all of this has been fueled by this buy now or pay more later mentality. And just to let you know, I do not think there is a bubble. I do not think it will ever burst. Do I think things will cool down or slow down? Yes. And when we talk about a bubble, we're talking about the games that are $45 now. That's the average price of an NES game. That market is going to burst. Those games are going to be worth less than they were when I started collecting. So they'll go down to $1 or $2. That is a fallacy. That is not going to happen. There could be a crash or a steep slope in the market at some point in time. I could kind of see a dip coming soon. I can't tell you when, but in the near future, because, much like our economy and the housing market and things, the price cannot continue to rise to the point where there's just nobody who can afford to buy these games. And I talked about, budgeting and putting money aside, is people are finding ways of reselling games to fund their collection. And something I gotta say that I see on so many YouTube channels now and from other collectors saying their collection cost them nothing. It was all free. And that just doesn't make sense to me, because you would still have to go out, drive around, spend gas money and your time searching for games, listing them on eBay, taking pictures, flipping them. That sounds like a part-time job, maybe even a full-time job if you're getting ahead of the game and you're able to make money at it and fund your collection. I think a straight trade for something you got for free would be getting something for nothing. But that's a job. That's work. That's like me saying, hey, my collection, everything I own cost me nothing because I go to work and then I pay my bills and then I have money left over that I spend on that. It cost me nothing because I worked for it. So I got to be honest with you. I understand the concept of, yeah, you bought this thing for so much money, you flipped it and you kept building it up, and good for you. That's great. But don't say that it cost you nothing, because it definitely took a lot of time and effort, and that's work. That's putting in a lot of work, and you could be selling that time and effort or doing other things with that time and effort, just like you do with a job. So The other thing with the reselling is people are buying things too in their collection with that mentality, and they're reselling things with that mentality of buy now or pay more or sell it for more later, just expecting things to go up. And because of that, there's like this mass hysteria. We got to buy. Like I said, if you're not happy with the price, don't spend the money on it. Don't, be so speculative, because yes, it does sort of work that way. I don't think that we are always going to be able to expect things to work that way. Something to think about, but this is not the mentality that we should have with collecting, because this is what is fueling the frustration. Our own lack of patience is fueling that frustration. You don't have to have these games now. Yes, many of them will appreciate in value, but you could save up for them. You could take on a new career, take on your own business, find other sources of generating income for yourself that you can then spend on those games. So if you're making more money through reselling or a career path that you've chosen, you could spend more on games down the road. So even if they go up. But yeah, the COVID thing has really spiked things out of control. I get it, and I get where you guys are coming from. I've also had a recent comment about the frustration with that, and people asking, or somebody asked if reproductions might be the future. Absolutely not. Reproductions, you are just pissing your money away if you are going out and buying a collection of reproductions. They have no value. The only value they might have, and I don't consider this value, but some of you might think of this as some sort of value, and this is terrible, is that you might be able to scam somebody into buying your reproduction thinking that it is a legitimate copy, and they pay a bundle for it. I do not like replica reproductions. If it's reproduction of a game that was never released, I think that's great. A translation maybe, that's really cool. Those are cool things to have in your collection. Games that were actually released and we're buying reproductions of, it just doesn't make sense to me why you would even want that in your collection. If you want the authentic experience, go buy a flash cart or an EverDrive or a power pack or whatever you call it, because wherever you're buying it from, go buy that and an original console or one of these high definition clone consoles that's very reliable. Play your games that way. There is all sorts of alternatives to emulation, which actually has gotten better. But if you want the authentic experience, there's other options than buying reproductions or emulating games. Anyways, Playas, I started this channel because I had been collecting for a very long time. I had seen some of these toxic type of videos on YouTube before from far less experienced people, and I'm not saying you could draw in your mind wherever you've seen this video and how long and how reputable these people are. I know some of them may have huge followings. Some of them may have much smaller followings than this channel, which is fairly small. But that's why I started making videos on YouTube, to help give some advice and share my experiences with you on this channel. So I hope the idea of setting certain standards and a budget and not getting discouraged and being able to adapt and understanding that there's certain games that you just might not ever own, but there's so many video games out there that there's surely something else worth collecting. If not, then you need to set a budget and figure out how to reach your goals for collecting. But do not get discouraged. I can't say when prices will slow down or not for sure. I will be coming out with videos about consoles that are cheaper to collect for right now, and game genres that might be cheaper to collect for. Also, things that you should probably collect before they go up. And there's also a bunch of videos about the current market, different predictions and tips. So please check out the backlog of videos on this channel. You might find something interesting. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.